Good morning, I'm Jlamb, and I am not a furry.
He's lying.
Where are all these birds coming from? This is a human, and this is an animal. Keep up. Now, in the real world, these two things are very separated due to various physical and theological reasons. But unfortunately, humans are chronically lonely. We love personifying anything. That house has a face. That tree has a name. This cat is really cute. And while that's all fine and good in this reality, in the realm of paper, reality can be whatever we want it to be. And for some reason, a large amount of people decided to take animals and humans and just go. This is called anthropomorphism, and it's the origin of the large online community known as furries. Now, some of you in the audience might not know what a furry is. I'm looking at you, Mom, and I will say right away that it is not someone who identifies as an animal. They are called therians, and it is also not someone who is sexually attracted to animals. They are called creepy and weird. At its core, being a furry basically just boils down to enjoying anthropomorphic animals. That's what it says on Wikipedia. Now, you could trace back the history to furries basically as long back as you want. I mean, you could argue that most of the gods from ancient Egypt and similar cultures are furries. And I would agree with you. But the modern furry is actually very widespread. Think of Disney's Robin Hood, or Zootopia, or DreamWorks' Bad Guy, or Bluey. These characters, despite being animalistic, are personified and even changed character design-wise to resemble humans. But all this historic rigmarole, it's not what this video is about. This video is about my second most favorite topic in the world, me. My first favorite topic is that subscribe button, because I have been mocked, bullied, ridiculed by my so-called friends for too long. No more shall I let lies tarry under my watch. I shall clear up the record and explain to you why I am not a furry. Now, admittedly, I do love animals probably more than most so-called neurotypicals. I mean, is it normal that I have to stop and point at every squirrel I see? Do most people grin ear to ear every single time they see a cat, or a bird, or a singing grasshopper? Probably not. But I do. For a long time I thought this was normal, until I discovered that it's not. I guess I am just what most people would probably call an animal person. I mean, is it really illegal to love cute things? The answer is yes, but only if you're male. But as cool as real animals are, I find cartoon creatures just as endearing. Looking at my favorite TV shows and movies from over the years, a surprising large amount of them do feature animal characters in one way or another. From the Aristocats to Fox and the Hound, from Ducktails to Amphibia to Bluey. Shoot, my favorite TV show as a kid was Wild Kratts, which looking back was basically just a gateway furry shows in disguise, wasn't it? I find the concept of cartoon animals so fascinating and special. And not just because of personal taste, I have some science to prove it. When you look at a human face, there are about 60 muscles underneath that skin that can make an almost infinite amount of complex shapes that communicate emotions unlike any other species. Other animals just don't have the same amount of facial control or capacity for emotions that humans do. But we as humans still personify them and have learned to infer changes in mood and emotions in animals simply from their subtle body languages. Yes, humans have body language too, but there's something unique about how a cat raises its back when it's scared, or a dog wags its tail when it's happy. We can infer so much about how an animal is feeling without the need for facial expressions. So what happens when you add them back in? You see, in cartoons, you're able to have the best of both worlds. You can have characters with human facial expressions and animal body language, and if you play your cards right, you can use both of these to their full effect to make characters that are infinitely more expressive than anything else. There's an episode of Bluey, a show which I'm contractually obligated to talk about in every single one of my videos on this channel, called Ducktails, which explores this a bit. Bluey is trying to learn why it's important to do good things, and her dad tries to use rewards to encourage her. But that doesn't really work until at one point, Bandit has reached his lowest after failing to make the titular duck cake, and Bluey cleans up the mess for him. And the sheer amount of thankfulness from Bandit makes Bluey's tail wag. I'm not crying, you're crying. The message of this episode is communicated so firmly, but never spoken out loud. This moral of do things not for external rewards, but for internal rewards. It would have been literally impossible to have that same emotional message conveyed without the visual of Bluey's tail wagging.
Mom, how do animals with no tails know when they're happy? Good question, Bingo.
Another show that I think uses this mix perfectly is Lackadaisy. I specifically avoided discussing this in its dedicated video because I knew this one was in the pipeline, but the amount of subtle body language the show uses is outstanding. From the brushing of tails when they're scared, to the twitching of ears when they're focused on something, to something as simple as Ivy's ears going down when she's disgusted. This is one of the most powerful ways of communicating emotions in cartoon characters, in my opinion. So what is my point? I just spent the last minutes talking about how good anthro characters are. Doesn't that prove my point and make me, by my definition, a furry? Well, kinda, I guess. I love animals and anthropomorphic characters, but something still feels wrong. I do love anthro characters, but not all of them are created equally. There is a spectrum that I must acknowledge. I love characters like from early Disney, which are basically just animals that can talk, but I also love the more cartoony characters that make them walk on their hind legs or wear clothes. But as they approach getting more and more human, they get uncanny to me. I like cartoony characters, okay? I don't like it when you basically just take a human and give it fur and a wolf head. And that's when we reach the most awful, horrific, and terrifying part of the furry community. But to explain it, I need to take you back in time about 13 years. I was at a party with a bunch of people I didn't know, and as a kid, I was literally the most sociable person in the world. I loved talking to people and making friends, and no one could stop me. Or so I thought. Until out stepped a person in a dog mascot costume. And now I had seen pictures of Disneyland and football games. I knew what this was, but something about this towering, emotionless dog terrified me. I mean, it's not even like I didn't have a firm grip on reality. Growing up, my parents always made it a point to make sure, while we always played and had expansive imaginations, we all knew reality from fiction. You know, Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, global warming. So I knew that this was just a guy in a suit and I had nothing to be afraid of. So why am I so terrified? This moment stuck with me throughout the years because it was an anomaly to me and my understanding of my psychology. I don't get irrational fears. I'm not scared of Shih Tzus, are an adorable breed of dogs. My point is that this made no sense to me until later, when I encountered furries online and saw that that same inexplicable fear resurfaced. It was then which I decided to do some good old-fashioned Googling and found the source of my problem. Off topic, but can we really quickly acknowledge how cool names of fears can be? Claustrophobia, thalassophobia, hippomonstrosa So guess what the fear of mascot costumes are called? Masclophobia. Well, no duh, Sherlock! Wikipedia defines it as a fear of masks, people in costume clothing, and mascots. And I think I have it. I mean, I'm not diagnosed, but I think I can tell by myself. Thank you very much. And it's strange because in all my research for this, the large consistency is that masculophobia is a fear found in children. If you have this fear, you are a child. Okay, thank you. I did not need another attack on my mental development today. And also this fear is very closely related to calorophobia, or the fear of clowns. And that is widely acceptable as a valid fear. Why can't this be? There is something so off-putting to me about mascot costumes. Maybe I didn't have enough exposure to it growing up. Maybe I didn't live close enough to a neighborhood to celebrate Halloween and it stunted my development. I don't know. All I know is that whenever I see a mascot costume, I want to not be seeing it. It is like the opposite reaction of when I see an actual animal. But let me tell you, the mascot culture around furries terrifies me. You telling me that hundreds of these masked morons gather in a large building just to hang out? What are they plotting? World domination? You think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. If I see a furry on a screen or when I watch a video, I actively have to cover it up with my hand. Yes, so like I'm watching a gory bloodbath or a passionate makeout scene. I have that same reaction to a guy in an oversized mouse costume. Now, I don't want you to get the impression that if you are a furry or if you identify with that community, that I hate you personally. I also hate zucchini because it squeaks. That doesn't mean I hate anyone who cooks with it or eats it. At the end of the day, I just want people to be empathetic. Not just to me as someone whose brain bud powers the fear response when I see a mascot head, but also to the people who find joy and passion out of this stuff which I can't appreciate, but I can still respect. But you know, this also comes to a larger issue which I've had with humans in general. We live in a society that freaking loves labels. Whether it's gender, nationality, race, we love giving ourselves these neat little boxes that people can easily identify us and understand each other, and I hate this. At the end of the day, I still use these labels. But I'm so sick of being told, you can't do that because I'm a man, or you must do this because I'm American. I don't freaking care! And that is why it is so hard for me to call myself a furry or associate with any fandom for that matter. I mean, people hear that I like Bluey and assume that I had a traumatic childhood and repressed emotions. People hear I play Minecraft and assume I have no life and that's all I care about. People hear that I like seeing cute pictures of anthropomorphic animals and assume I am a furry. And I don't want people to assume anything about me. We are a pattern-recognizing species, but also an unpredictable anomaly. At the end of the day, there is only one of me that will ever exist. And he is special and unique and can bring stuff into this world that no one else will ever be able to. So why would he ever want to waste his limited life on this beautiful planet by bending to your fickle whims? I am going to embrace what I love and make whatever brings joy to me and others. Thank you so much for watching this different, more personal video. I don't know if I'll make more stuff like this in the future, but subscribe if you want to see me analyze more cartoons and media, most likely with anthropomorphic characters. I'm Jlamb, and I'll hopefully see you later, but not at a furry convention. I would rather die. Have a wonderful day. Never again.